please.
Sure. Welcome to our virtual meeting. If you lose connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking the link or calling the number in your original email. Members, if you are able, please activate your video and keep it on for the duration of the meeting. Staff, if you're able, please activate your video when you are speaking. All panelists, that is Alders, committee members, and staff, have the ability to mute and unmute themselves. Please continue to use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak, ask questions, or request a roll call vote. Lowering your hand will take you out of the queue. Members of the public who have registered to speak. The name you entered in Zoom must match the name you entered in registration. You will remain muted until called upon. The clerk will tell you when your time is up. After speaking, a member of the ALRC may ask you a question. If you need to share documentation with the ALRC, please send it to the email listed on today's agenda. Chair Donnelly, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. This meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order. All speakers wishing to address the committee regarding an agenda item must first complete a registration form and submit it to the city clerk designee. Speakers may speak to the committee only after they're called by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. The public is not allowed to address or respond to speakers or committee members unless they've been recognized by the chair of the committee. Jennifer, do we have any notified absences?
No.
I call this meeting of the ALRC to order at 5:40 p.m. Will you please call the roll? 5:40 p.m. Wow, that'd be brutal.
Alder Carter.
Present.
Thank you. Chair Donnelly.
Present.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fletcher.
Here.
Thank you. Alder Miazzi.
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Reese.
Here.
Thank you. Alder Verveer.
Here.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much. First order of business, approval of minutes from August 5th, 2021. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve. Oh, sorry.
I hear a motion from Dr. Reese and a second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. I'm sorry, I forgot our protocol. Wow. Anyone who is not in favor indicate by raising your hand and we will have a roll call vote. Seeing no opposition, motion carries. Next item, approval of minutes from August 30th, 2021. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve those too.
A motion from Dr. Reese and again a second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Any dissent? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, general public comment. Do we have any registrants for general public comment?
I'm just refreshing. We do not.
Disclosures and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals under the city's ethics code. Are there any such disclosures or recusals tonight? I see none. Presentation of the consent agenda. At this time, a consent agenda will be moved with the recommended action or to grant with any recommended conditions if no action is recommended for each item, except items which have registrants opposed, wishing to speak, items which have members have separated out for discussion or debate purposes, items recommending ordinance changes, or operator license applications. Madam Clerk, will you please present the consent agenda?
Tonight's consent agenda for the ALRC meeting on September 29th has item number 2, so agenda item number 2, which is a change of agent, and agenda item number 3, which is a request to extend license issuance beyond the 180-day limit. There is one registrant able to answer questions for agenda item number 3.
Committee, are there any requests to separate either of these items from the consent agenda? Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I do have a hopefully very brief question on item 3, if we can resolve it quickly.
By all means.
Jennifer, Joe, who do we have to speak on item 3?
Ross Grunwald, and he is.
I'm here.
Hi, Russ. A quick question for you that wasn't clear in my email, out of the email correspondence I think the committee received, or I may have missed it. How long do you anticipate the construction delays lasting?
Right now, we are targeting a March 1st opening date. A lot of it pending on equipment and delivery of equipment. They're actually planning to start some of the exterior construction next week. With some of the exterior with signage and stuff like that. But getting shelving and the coolers has just been a complete nightmare, to be quite honest.
The typical kind of COVID-related supply chain issues?
Yes, very much typical COVID supply chain. We're having to push back multiple stores throughout our company. From opening for weeks and months just because we cannot get equipment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ross, and we're sorry for your, I'm sure, stress over the situation. Any other questions or requests to separate any of these items? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed? See a motion from Mr. Fletcher. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Any discussion? Any dissent? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The consent agenda is approved. Jennifer, will you read it off one more time, please?
Tonight's consent agenda includes agenda item number 2, a change of agent for GMRI Incorporated, and agenda item number 3, a request to extend license issuance beyond the 180-day limit for Hy-Vee Incorporated.
All right. So if you're here for either of those items, ALRC is recommending approval of them, and you are welcome to go about your evening. So, do we have any registrants tonight who will be using a translator?
Chair, we were informed that a Mandarin interpreter was scheduled for tonight. However, I do not see one present.
Okay. Well, then why don't we go about our business as usual, and when we get to that item, or if the translator appears, we can bump that up. Okay, so next up, item 4, 21 plus entertainment license for BS Hospitality doing business as 107 State, which, do we have anyone here for this item? Alder Verveer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to refer this item to our October 20th meeting at the request of the applicant.
I hear a motion to refer. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Any dissent? Motion passes unanimously. Item 5, public hearing, new license for Aftershock Classic Arcade at 1444 East Wash. Do we have anyone here to speak to this item?
No, not that I see.
Is Chris Welch?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we do. Chris Welch and Brad Van.
Van Kellenberg. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Chris, could you
hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Chris, can you tell us a bit about your proposed business, please?
Yes, I'll make it brief. I was here last month. My name is Chris Welch. This is for a one-room tavern on East Washington. It is currently Maria's Bar and has been Maria's Bar for about 5 years. It is owned by the owner of the building, Jim, and if we are able to take over, he's willing to release and sign over his liquor license. This is a small room that's very similar to my other bar, Growlers to Go-Go, that we just want to renovate and put in arcade games and pinball.
Thank you. Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, and hi again, Chris. Two quick questions, and I apologize if they were asked or if we've discussed it before. But just refresh me. There's no change in terms of the license premise from what is Marie's Bar to the new establishment, right?
That is correct.
And can you talk a little bit more with the committee about? It talks about, patrons not being allowed to go from, one spot to the other with their alcoholic beverages. Can you talk a little bit more about what safeguards you have in place to kind of prevent that?
You bet. We have two. Number one, we'll have someone on staff. I don't want to say bouncer, but that'll be walking around, kind of checking on the games and going into the common area. That it's the shared spot between us and Parched Eagle. The second one is Jim himself at the Parched Eagle. He would kind of know if people are bringing in cans or beer and kind of monitor that as well. We have a very good relationship. This is a very unique situation where two bars are located next to each other. And so we've really tried to have a good relationship with Jim so that we can keep this on good terms moving forward. I know in the past there wasn't an issue with Maria's and Parched Eagle, so I'm hoping there's no issues moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. What other questions do you have, committee? All right, thank you, Chris. Do we have any other registrants on this item, Jennifer? I believe I see Alder Heck, so I'm guessing he has something to say about this.
Chair Chris Welch and Brad Van were the only registrants.
Alder Heck, are you interested in weighing in?
I will just reiterate my written comments that are in Legistar for this item, saying that I support the application, and the Neighborhood Association was able to receive a presentation and have discussion about the application too, and they also supported it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Committee, what's your pleasure? Mr. Fletcher.
Maybe a quick question for the city clerk. Were there any previous conditions on this license?
Let me check for you.
Or I should say at this location, sorry.
I found it. The condition is that alcohol service shall cease by midnight, Sunday through Thursday, and by 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Thank you.
I don't believe that the Tenny Lapham Neighborhood Association expressed a request to have those conditions on this license, though. Mr. Fletcher.
Move approval.
Your motion to approve. Second from Dr. Reese. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 5 is approved. Congratulations, Chris and Brad. Item 6, Sparkle Horse LLC, doing business as Dark Horse at 756 East Wash. And I see Patrick DePula here. Patrick, tell us about your proposed business, please.
Sure. So you know me as the operator of Salvatore's Tomato Pies. We have 2 restaurants in the neighborhood, and the opportunity became available for us to take over Star Bar next to our location on Livingston. And we really wanted to bring something of an added value proposition to the neighborhood, in the sense that we wanted to create an art gallery and performance art space along with a bar that actually serves food next to our restaurant at Livingston. So our plan is to have performance art available, small live music events in that space because it is relatively small. It's ideally situated on East Washington Avenue with 3 floors of commercial, with commercial above it. Sound issues don't seem to be, sound issues don't seem to be an issue. And again, the focus is more of a gallery space that happens to serve alcohol, as opposed to being a tavern that has a couple of paintings on the wall. So we have a curator, Sam Johnson, who's been in the art scene in Madison for many, many years. And the plan is to offer art available for sale and installations on a regular basis. The art available for sale will be from local, regional, and national artists. Sam has already booked several shows into the future, and we're looking forward to that. It's going to consist of pop art and fine art. And also supporting the independent music scene in a smaller venue, which we seem to have less and less available in Madison. I'm available for questions. Sam is also available for questions. And yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. And committee, I should say, this is actually item 6 and 7, where 6 is the alcohol license and 7 is an 18+ Center for Visual and Performing Arts. Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Patrick, just a quick question. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of state of the discussions with local community members? I know Alder Heck referenced that in some of his comments to the committee, but can you talk to me just a little bit about what happened there?
Sure. I reached out to the Tenny Lapham Neighborhood Association because I wanted to speak with them and present to them before we had a general public meeting. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, we were not added to the agenda. And I did schedule a public information meeting. The emails have gone out to the Constellation Building and others. We have a public information meeting scheduled for this Sunday at 3:00, and I wanted to do it on a Sunday afternoon to maximize the availability of people in order to be able to come and ask questions if necessary. So we do have a public information meeting set up on Sunday, and I reached out to the Neighborhood Association again to hopefully post to the listserv that we have this public information meeting set up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Dr. Reese. You are muted, Dr. Reese.
Taking over in the mute category. Could you tell us a little bit more about the music that you'll be offering? Are you thinking bands or, single performers? And I'm just looking at the space. Also would like to understand better, like where in the space will the music be held?
Sure. We're building a small stage in the front of the space that is towards East Washington Avenue, because there's the floor to ceiling length windows there, and it's not conducive to being able to be a space to display art. So that makes the most sense. And we plan on having a diverse music available. So everything from Brazilian to performance art to spoken word. Yes, there will be some bands. Yes, there will be single singer-songwriters. Really, we're looking to do a wide variety of things in this space.
That sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit more about the space is sort of small, so do you have any plans for crowd management? And you did mention that you don't anticipate a line at the door, but music can change that. So can you just tell us a little bit about your plans in case you become more popular as you have more bands playing or more music coming through?
Sure. So obviously we'll have security at the door. One of the issues with this space prior to us taking it over is that there never seemed to be quite enough staff in this particular location. With our concern next door, with Salvatore's next door, and our experienced bar staff and others, we have the unique ability to augment staff as necessary. But on nights where we do have BZEC, there will be ID checking at the door. There will be a staff member that's assigned to security on site, in addition to more than one bartender. I think in the past, this space suffered by only having one bartender on duty. And we really wanted to address the potential service issues, especially with the Sylvia across the street and events at Bree Stevens. We want to make sure that we have enough people available in order to accommodate that pre-show surge or post-show at the Sylvie, that sort of thing. And yes, security is definitely, we've always been very good at responding to concerns in the neighborhood. We haven't had any concerns with our licenses in the past. And, but when it comes to such things, we're very amenable to working with as many people as possible to make sure that we're not becoming a nuisance. So security is important to us.
Great. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. What further questions do committee members have? Alder Verbeer.
Thank you. Hello, Patrick. Congratulations on your latest endeavor. I do have a couple of comments and then a question. Just the first comment is, in case you're not aware, you might not have the crowd you're expecting scheduling your public informational Sunday at 3 because the Steelers and Packers game kicks off at 3:25 on Sunday. So that was just one observation for you. Not that I'm asking you to change the time or anything, but anyway, so that was one observation. The second observation is, and maybe I'll put this in the form of a question too, but under the city zoning code, several establishments that do become licensed or do have licensed entertainment options end up triggering a conditional use permit being required again under our zoning code. Have you had a chance to look into that or confirm that whether or not you would need a conditional use permit if you are considered a tavern nightclub under the zoning code?
So I guess my comment on that is Sujo, which is our current space with Salvatore's next door, had an entertainment license and didn't require a zoning change in order to do that. So for DJs and other things. So I did not look into it further. I suppose I could, but I did not because I do know that Sujo had been granted an entertainment license in our space right next door. If that helps.
Yeah, very good. And maybe Alderperson knows for sure since he is also a plan commissioner. But I know some establishments downtown have been tripped up by the fact that in several zoning districts, if you have a tavern license, you also require a conditional use permit. And I see Alderperson Heck, of course, will want to weigh in on this. Why don't I go to my other question though, and we'll let Alder Heck maybe confirm if he knows whether or not you might be triggering a conditional use permit need. But the other question is about your capacity. I noticed that Hawk's capacity at this location was 60 persons indoors and 20 persons outdoors. I presume that you're comfortable with the capacity that you're requesting, Patrick, in that it's obviously a little higher for each number. I presume that the code allows that.
I'm comfortable with that amount, yes.
But have you had a chance to confirm with building inspection that a relatively small space, as we've established already, can legally have that capacity?
I have not, but I'm also amenable to changes if necessary. So the space itself is a little bit different because we removed all of the booths that were currently there that limited opportunities for seating and et cetera. So I suppose, I have not confirmed that with building inspection, but I'm also amenable to whatever the city requires.
Yeah, and obviously
where are you seeing that 60 people? And just looking at the original application, which was for a capacity of 99.
Yeah, I'm looking at the current valid license for Star Bar, and the bottom line, and Jen can confirm this for us. The bottom line says capacity is 60 indoors, 20 outdoors.
Gotcha. Okay. So given that we granted a previous application with a capacity of 99 and it ended up bumped down to that, Patrick, you definitely want to look into if building inspection or the fire department has a lower number than we do.
For sure. And again, I'm whatever the city requires, I'm open to. It's, I put that in the application as the maximum, but like I said, if the city requires less, then it shall be less.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we all know that you're an excellent operator and a great member of the community. So I'm not trying to be negative here at all, Patrick. I just wanted to make sure you're not tripped up later as it might relate to entertainment triggering, like I said, the conditional use permit, or your capacity might, end up being a little lower according to BI and fire. So good luck with everything. Just wanted to make sure that you check with our friends in the planning department on those items.
Thank you very much, and I most certainly will.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Alder Heck.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to let folks know that the zoning district in which the Constellation building resides is a planned development. So there aren't specific triggers for conditional uses, I don't think, related to entertainment, since that's a form of make your own zoning to a certain extent. Alder Verveer has perhaps some experience with plan developments and that question. So you may have more information, but my impression would be that there would not be a conditional use required unless it was written into the development agreement.
Excellent. Thank you, Alder Heck. Committee, what other questions do you have? Madam Clerk, are there any other registrants for this item? All right, committee, or Alder Heck, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I would just add that I'm pleased that Patrick DePula has scheduled the informational meeting. It's likely to be fast and furious if the game really does start at 3:25. So I'd suggest starting a little earlier, or at least being present a little earlier. But I appreciate that being scheduled, and that satisfies my concerns about not having that opportunity for public input. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Alder Heck. And Alder Miadzi.
Just for future clarification, just wondering if Alder Mike Rivera would comment about his knowledge and wisdom as far as the plan zoning versus if in the future that might need a zoning change. Just wondering about that.
Well, yeah, thank you for the question, Alder. It really doesn't have a bearing on our deliberations here one way or the other. I just, as I tried over the years as a member of this committee, tried to assist the applicants so that they're not surprised at a later date, for example, the day they hope to open and have their licenses issued to them, that they might have a zoning hold on their license, for example. So it doesn't bear on us one way or the other. I hope Alderperson Heck is correct, and that this planned district zoning that was written by the Gephardts when it was built or proposed does clearly allow for the nightclub operation, as the zoning code calls it, and that it's not an issue. I was just suggesting again that the applicant confirm with zoning that they don't have to worry about that, and then likewise consult with the plan review folks at building inspection as to what the lawful capacity is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alder Verveer and Alder Miazzi. Any further comment? I can, as a member of the Penny Lapham Neighborhood Association Council, I can't speak on behalf of the council, but I can tell you my experience has always been that the council is enthusiastic about this applicant's businesses. Committee, what is your pleasure?
Move motion to approval.
Hear a motion to approve from Alder Miazzi. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Discussion.
Just to clarify, this motion to approve both items on the agenda.
Alder Miazzi, is it your intent that we approve item 6, the alcohol license for Dark Horse, and item 7, the visual and performing arts license?
Yes, that was my understanding that they were together.
Excellent. And Alder Reese, that is what you're seconding? Excellent. Any discussion? Any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations, Patrick. Next item, item 8, new license for Tokyo Sushi at 1133 Willie Street. And do we have anyone here for this item, Madam Clerk?
It looks like the applicant is here, but I was also told this was the agenda item that required an interpreter.
Okay, well, if, as per our practice, if...
Yeah, we're here.
Hello.
Hello.
So it is the practice of this committee that if someone needs an interpreter, we will make sure that they have an interpreter and that we are not comfortable moving forward without one. Jennifer, is there anything we can do to try to get a hold of the interpreter?
I think one can be patched in through the phone, but I don't know enough tech stuff to to know that for sure. I don't know if Joe or Tanya is still on the.
I don't know that phone number. The Department of Civil Rights is supposed to be handling interpretation through the language access plan.
I might have the phone number.
Let's see.
Yes, I'm here. But I think I need a transfer, the mandatory transfer.
We understand, and we will not force you to move forward without one. I think at this time I will entertain a motion to table this item and to give Jennifer an opportunity to try to track down a translator. I see a motion from Mr. Fletcher.
Second.
And a second from Alder Carter. Alder Miazzi, no. Is there any discussion of the motion to table item 8?
No, I was also in favor of tabling it.
No discussion. Is there any dissent? Hearing none. Alder Miazzi, are you dissenting? Okay. So hearing none, item 8 is placed upon the table. And Sun Cheng, we will hopefully get back to you with a translator before too long. Moving on, item 9, Burke and Benham Seafood at 1925 Monroe Street. Do we have a registrant for this item?
Yes, this is Jim Burke, the owner. I am present.
Excellent. Jim, can you please tell us a bit about your proposed business?
Sure. So I am currently open as a retail seafood market. It is fresh and frozen seafood with carry out. There's no prepared foods on site. So think butcher shop, but for seafood. I am currently open Tuesday through Saturday, closing at 5 o'clock during the week, 3 o'clock on Saturday, and have plans to open on Sunday once I can work out staffing issues. I'm experiencing the same things many of our restaurants are in finding qualified help. And I am looking for the liquor license to add to my offerings that pair well with seafood. So think wine, beer, and ciders. No hard liquor will be on site.
Right. And I see you are applying for a Class B combination liquor and beer license, so that would include consumption on premises?
Potentially. So right now, if you were to walk in the shop, there's my display cases and then some furniture in the back just to take up some space. There is potential for installing a grab-and-go raw bar with tastings for pairings for that raw bar. So I didn't want to exclude myself from being able to have consumption on site in the future, but that's quite a ways away.
Excellent. Thank you. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Are there any questions for the applicant? All right, Jennifer, do we have any? Dr. Reese.
Just one question for the committee. There's a checkbox for live entertainment for an occasional acoustic guitarist. We don't need an entertainment license for that, right? Or do we?
If there is a single performer and they are not using any amplification, they do not need an entertainment license.
Got it. Thanks.
And to be clear, that is the plan. No, if you see the space, an amplifier would be quite overwhelming in here. So if we ever do those tastings, we would, I did this in Chicago where we had maybe a cellist or a guitarist, something of that sort. But the space is not conducive to anything more than one person and definitely no amplification.
I mean, a cello can get pretty wild.
Yeah, right?
Okay, committee, what other questions do you have for the applicant? Are there any other registrants for this item?
There are not.
Okay, committee, what's your pleasure? Mr. Fletcher?
Move approval.
Your motion to approve from Mr. Fletcher, and is there a second? Second from Alder Miazzi. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 9 is approved. Congratulations, Jim. Next item is item 10. Public hearing, new license for Quick Trip, doing business as Tobacco Outlet Plus at 1117 North Sherman Ave. And do we have anyone here to speak to this item?
We have Virginia Schultz registered in opposition wishing to speak, but they are not in the list. And then after that is David Ring in support wishing to speak.
And are either of those people associated with the business?
David Ring is representing Quick Trip Incorporated.
I'm here.
Virginia Schultz is representing no one.
Excellent. David, can you please tell us who you are and what your relationship is with this establishment?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Dave Ring, I'm the Community Government Relations Manager for Quick Trip. I know we came before the LRC last month for a Class A beer and Class A cider license, which the LRC was gracious enough to approve. We should have grouped the two together, but we're applying for a Class A liquor license. I just want to give a little background to the committee. We're moving literally right next door in Northgate Shopping Center. So we're kind of doubling our square footage. Right now we're probably 2,300 square feet. This is going to be about 5,200 square feet. And so what we're doing is expanding not only the product offerings of, we've got a humidor in the current facility, which is going to be bigger. The actual beer cave, which is currently in the current store, it's about 390, call it about 400 square feet. This one's going to be a little smaller. It's about 360 square feet. We're repurposing the beer cooler from another store. And then we're actually almost quadrupling the cooler doors that we're going to have available for product. We're going to have more milk. We're going to have salads. We're going to have take-home meals, cheese, microwavable items, eggs. So we're trying to make it more kind of a convenience store as far as the product offerings. And we'd also like to offer, some wine and liquor if people were so interested. All the tobacco items will be placed behind the checkout register, so there will not be any tobacco items on the floor, except for the humidor, which you have to gain access into. We're also going to be, from a security standpoint, we've got about 20 security cameras in the current location. We'll be going up to about 34, 2 in the front exterior, 1 in the rear exterior, 31 spaced out through the interior of the building. We're requiring the landlord to sprinkle the interior of the facility, which they're going to do. The store will not be open until roughly about November 10th. We're doing the build out as we speak, and looking to just make it sell more convenience. I think it's a neighborhood store. We don't obviously sell fuel. The store hours will continue to be the same as they are, conforming to the shopping center hours. And we think it's, we're going to be providing a good service in terms of just expanded food offering, and certainly just want to offer, some of the liquor and wine items. All the smaller liquor items will be behind the checkout register too, just so people are aware of that as well. But it's kind of just a quick overview, but happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Excellent. Thanks, Dave. Assistant City Attorney Brist, you looked like you perked up with interest. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
I was confused about the license, whether or not there were 2 premises that are being operated separately, or what the situation is.
Oh, we currently own the one next door. We'll be closing that facility. Yeah, we're just moving.
Okay, so the only license will only apply to the new space.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Assistant City Attorney Brist. Alder Miazzi.
Yeah, I had the same question, but another question could be, did you reach out to the alder of the district, Saeed?
Yeah, I did. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm sorry, I failed to mention that. Yes, I actually met with Alder Abbas. We provided him a tour of the existing store, the tour of the new store, and he was kind enough to submit a letter of support on our behalf to the ALRC. And also, he spoke to the neighborhood association, the Sherman Neighborhood Association, and they did not have any objections when he spoke with them. And he wanted me to convey that to the ALRC as well.
Is that letter attached to your your application, or can you send that to us? Or
yeah, he submitted. I don't have. I think he submitted it directly to the committee on Monday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. I could certainly get it to you guys. Yeah, I thought he had submitted it to the committee, but if not, I could certainly forward it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You bet.
Alder Carter. Alder Carter, you are on.
Good gravy. You would think one day that I would unmute myself before I start talking. That day has not come, by the way.
It happens.
Dave, how long have you been in that shopping center?
Yeah, Alder Carter, we've been in there for 21 years. So we've had a pretty long history of being in that store. And interestingly enough, it's actually the building we're in is not owned by the shopping center. It's a different owner. And we just outgrew the space. That space immediately to the left or adjacent to the existing space became available, which is owned by, the shopping stop. I think it's the Alexander Company is actually the broker involved in that.
Okay, so you're very much a part of the community is what you're saying.
Yeah,
neighborhood.
Absolutely.
21 years. Wow.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Alder Revere.
Thank you. I don't have a question for Mr. Ring. I just wanted to respond to the question about Council President Abbas, the Alder of the district, and just to confirm that I did receive a copy of the email that he sent to the licensing email list in the city clerk's office on Monday. So I'm wondering if Jen could possibly review the licensing emails from the September 27th and post that email of support in Legistar, and also perhaps quickly email it to the committee if possible, Jen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alder Revere. What other questions do people have for the applicant? All right, so Alder Carter?
If there's no other questions, I was going to do a motion, but I'll wait.
There's another registrant to speak on this item.
Oh, okay, I'll wait.
So, who do we have registered for this?
The other person does not appear in the list.
Oh, okay. Of the people who are here listening, were any of you intending to speak on this item? All right. In that case, Alder Carter.
I move to grant.
I hear a motion to grant. Is there a second? Second from Alder Revere. Discussion. Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none. Motion carries. Item 10, new license for tobacco outlet at 1117 North Sherman is approved. Congratulations, Dave. Jennifer, have we had any luck with a translator?
I was able to find instructions on how to either call one or bring one into Zoom. I sent it to Joe and Tanya. I hope it came through.
Yep, it did. And I filled out all the appropriate information, and they said someone should be joining shortly. So as soon as that person joins, I will certainly let you know.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Nice work. Then let's move right along. Item 11, the new license for Jackknife at 1046 East Washington Ave. Do we have a registrant for this item? I believe I saw Tanya here for this one.
Yep, it looks like there are 4 registrants. Tanya's available to answer questions, as well as a Matthew Tills, and then there are 2 who want to show support but don't wish to speak.
Gotcha. Thank you. Well, Tanya, can you please give us a quick overview of the business you're proposing?
Yes, of course. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya Zhukharevich, and you probably also know me as a liquor license operator and business owner of Red Sushi. And we're proposing a new business idea to be located on the other side of the Capitol Square at Arden apartment building at 1046 East Washington. Jackknife is planned to be a sister restaurant to Red but focusing on the fast casual service and focusing on deliveries and takeouts. We would like to apply for a liquor license application and plan to serve wine, beer, sake, and mostly non-alcoholic beverages such as kombucha and healthy iced teas and then sodas. We do plan to offer drink consumption on premises, as well as for takeout and grab and go. Our current capacity is proposed to be at a total of 110 people, 46 people inside, 32 people outdoors, and we have 10 seating capacity right up front at the building. Hours of operation currently listed as where we're applying for to be open from Sunday through Thursday from 11:30 till 10 p.m. and on Fridays and Saturdays from 11:30 till 11 p.m. We are not having any entertainment license. There won't be any outdoor speakers on the patio. And as I mentioned before, the service of Jackknife will be very quick. We won't have servers or bartenders. The order style will be over the counter. So it's very casual setup. And we did join a neighborhood association meeting a few weeks ago, and we were able to speak to Elder Hack and receive the support from neighborhood association. We also handled the information session for people who might be interested to know about the concept. Unfortunately, we didn't have any attendees, but I think it's a good sign. Hopefully people are very excited about our new concept and the new restaurant coming into the neighborhood. And we are very, we're just really, really, really happy to be there. Our construction is on the way. We've been already on construction for 2.5 months. We're planning to open in early spring of next year. So.
Thank you, Tanya. Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tanya, could you just go over your capacity number again? I know it's just to make sure that it adds up to the total that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have Matt Tills, my architect, joining the meeting. So we have total occupancy of 110, indoor seating for 45, 32 patio, and 10 front outdoor seats.
Okay, and then so on the at least on the application, I think it just reads as something slightly different than that. And we might be talking
I think the reason for that is because our the 32 seats patio is supposed to be fenced patio, and that's the one that we planning to open for later hours versus the 10 seats up front. We actually are thinking that we will remove those chairs for dinner business, and maybe that's the reason why I didn't include them in the total application seats numbers.
Okay, yeah, we have 46 indoor, 35 outdoor is what we have.
Mm-hmm.
On the open, I mean, at least your answer to question 5 talked about even opening next month, right? And you mentioned spring.
Mm-hmm.
What's the reason for the delay? And do you have kind of a firmer date than kind of the general springtime?
Yes, I'll be honest with you, with pandemic and delay with supply chain for materials and stainless steel equipment, we just pushing it to finish construction at the end of the year, which we face in December. And I truly don't, as a business owner, it's not a good time to open business in those months. We would love to wait for warmer months to open business. So I mean, tentative date is March 1st. that's when we would love to open. We just hope that weather will start getting nicer. People will be kind of over with holiday season, and it will be more exciting time to open the restaurant versus opening it in December.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. What other questions do people have for the applicant? Any other questions for the applicant? All right, Jennifer, do we have anyone else registered wishing to speak on this item?
No.
Alder Heck, do you have anything you would like to add?
I'll just add that all this talk has made me hungry and thirsty.
I can get behind that. I'm also, you realize half of the new license applications here are in our district.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I would, and I don't have anything to add other than my written comment of support and recognizing that the neighborhood association was also supportive. And I also mentioned in my comments that in this situation, there were conditional uses required as well as an appearance at UDC, which have been completed.
Thank you, Alder Heck. All right, committee, what is your pleasure? Alder Mianzi.
Just to have a better understanding, do we have any, or this can go for the attorney, just to understand, given that the time of opening is in March, do we have that purview to approve a license for 6 months in advance, or because things do change? I'm just wondering what is our, just learning as an alder, you know.
Sure. It used to be that if it was going to be past 3 months, they would need to come for an extension, but that has been lengthened. So now the default period is 6 months. So if they open by the end of March, they'll be within the normal period. Otherwise, they'd have to come back and apply for an extension.
Thank you for the knowledge.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you for the knowledge. Great. I actually didn't know that.
No problem.
So now we have to open in March.
Well, or come back and apply for an extension at ALRC, where we'll generally say, when are you planning to open? What delayed it? We're just making sure that there is a sincere intention to open a business.
I see. And do you have to attend public hearings as well when you apply for extension?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Alder Verveer.
Thank you. I move to grant the Class B combination license and quickly say congratulations and best wishes to Tanya and Jack.
All right, I hear a motion to grant from Alder Verveer. See a second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations, Tanya, and I look forward to what will now be the closest restaurant to my house, opening sometime early next year. All right, let's see. Any luck on the translator?
Sure, we're still waiting.
All right, next item 12, Strings Ramen at 311 North Francis Street. Do we have a registrant for this item?
Yes, the applicant.
Excellent. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the proposed business?
Applicant, can you unmute yourself? You should have a prompt.
Unmute. Can you hear me right now? Hello. Hi.
Loud and clear.
Hi, my name is Xuan Wang. So I am the street ramen manager right now. So with the ramen, so I don't know if you guys have the ramen or not. So it's just really popular. And we're located in the 311 North Francis Street. And we just have like ramen, ondamburi, yakisoba, and also some sashimi over the rice, but it's just really good, I think. So I love it. And I have a lot of loyalty customers. They just come here like regular every week and then exactly the same time. So we just like to have some beers and like sake, wine, something like this, because a lot of my loyalty customers, they just come in and they have ask about the beer, so they just enjoy the beer with the ramen a lot of times. So that's why. So we only just want to offer like 10% alcohol, it's just beer and wine something, and 90% all the food. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Zhang. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Verveer.
Thank you. Jean, could you explain for the committee, please, why you need the new license? This would be the third time that Strings Ramen has been before our committee since you opened for a beer and wine license. Can you just explain the change that required you to apply for the license again?
Oh, hi. Yeah, sure. So it's just because, so we just a ramen store and the Japanese style. So it just coming with the beer or something. And we have a lot of loyalty customers. They just come in like regular and a specific time. So they just love have some beer. I think they just enjoy the beer with the ramen together. So that's what we want to do a little bit to all the customers, offer a little bit more helping for the whole, for the whole loyalty customers, hoping the business will be getting better. During the pandemic day, the whole times is so difficult. So we're just hoping can help a little bit about the business.
Right, absolutely. We can all appreciate that. But haven't you served beer and wine at Strings Ramen in the past?
I don't know. So I just got here in this year, so I'm not really sure. Hi, yeah. I'm not really sure because I just became the manager in this year. Hello?
Yes, we can hear. We can hear you.
Okay.
I was under the impression why you needed to apply for the new license was because you didn't renew your previous license on time.
Oh, really?
Because of the pandemic or what have you. But
yeah, I think
again, Strings Ramen has previously been licensed by the city to sell beer and wine.
Oh, really? So I don't. Yeah. I think that because of the pandemic, because of business things, they just give it up. So, but until now, it's just everything getting better. So we won't have the license again.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I just wanted the committee to be aware that we've previously licensed Strings for beer and wine on two previous occasions. When the first under the original owner, and then secondly under the current owner.
Oh, I don't even know. So I'm not really sure. So yeah. Because I just got here this year. So I just to do my job. So to see anything I can do and then just prove the business, prove the whole things.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Committee, what additional questions do you have for the applicant? Any additional questions for the applicant? Hearing none. Are there any other registrants for this item? Mr. Fletcher.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Not a problem. Any other registrants for this item?
No.
All right. Mr. Fletcher.
Alder Verveer may know this given his kind of knowledge of the history here. Were there any kind of conditions placed on Strings previously?
If that question was for me, Mr. Fletcher, I do not believe so, but Jen can confirm I haven't.
There was a condition that the establishment must meet the definition of a restaurant under section 38.02 at all times.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Mr. Fletcher, any further questions?
I think the other question is, are there concerns about the reasons for not taking up the license, for kind of letting it slip through? And maybe this again is a question for Alder Verveer, given that this is in his district.
Yeah, thank you again for the question. I support the granting of a Class B beer, Class C wine licenses for this establishment. As I said, obviously previously, this committee has done so on 2 previous occasions. And I don't think anything has changed. I've never heard any concerns about the operation of their restaurant whatsoever. In fact, I don't have any concerns about continuing the previous condition on the expired license either. That's how much of a non-concern it is, but I certainly have no objection to continuing that condition.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher and Alder Verveer. Any additional questions for the applicant or discussion or a motion? Mr. Fletcher.
Move approval.
Hear a motion from Mr. Fletcher to approve, second from Alder Verveer. Any discussion? Alder Miadson.
No, not a question. I was just going to second it.
Excellent. Hearing no discussion, would anyone like to dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries. Item 12, Class B beer, Class C wine, 4 Strings Ramen at 311 North Francis is approved. And congratulations, Sean. All right, hang on just a moment. Oh, I heard a little mouse up here. What's up? Awesome, thanks. My food has arrived. I get to keep being nice to people. Okay, so that is item 12. I take it we still have not heard from an interpreter?
No, not yet.
Okay, so let me see. Sunshine, bear with us. We're still working on it. Item 13, we're getting now into items referred from the Alcohol License Review Committee Operating Practices Subcommittee, a meeting which unfortunately, because I'm atrocious at email, I missed. First item 13, membership of the ALRC Operating Practices Subcommittee. Who is reporting back from the subcommittee? Mr. Fletcher, take it away.
Well, thanks, Mr. Chair. The name of the subcommittee rolls off the tongue very easily. So we, Alder Verveer and I did meet. Alder Carter, Dr. Reese joined us at that meeting as well, and had a robust discussion about several of the items on the agenda, items 13 through 16. Starting with item 13, though, the membership question that came up last month, we did agree, I think, to referring back to this group to see if there was any interest in other members joining the subcommittee. The proviso being, or the recommendation, that it be an odd number of members if we can possibly maintain that. But we did figure to kind of bring it back up with this group, as it would be the appointing body for the subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Would anyone like to nominate themselves or anyone else for membership on the Operating Practices Subcommittee? Dr. Reese.
I would love to nominate myself, but I do also have a question. If we do the subcommittee, do we have quorum concerns, or if we're a certain number relative to this body, does it matter?
Mr. Fletcher?
The only, I'm applying the logic that maybe we used for the operators subcommittee proposal that we'll consider a bit later, which is, 3 seem to work, has worked thus far, I think. I think previously it was Mr. Donnelly, Alder Verveer, and myself. 3 is the proposal for the operators license subgroup. That would just be my thinking.
I think we also discussed, did we not discuss the idea of alternates?
Yep, and that's in the operators license subcommittee.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
So Dr. Reese is interested. Is anyone else? Mr. Fletcher and Alder Verveer are interested in continuing to serve. Excellent. Anyone else? And Mr. Fletcher, is it your proposal that the operating practices subcommittee would have alternates?
I think for now, Mr. Chair, I would propose just keeping it with the 3 that's previously established. We can talk about differentiation for the operators license group in a bit.
By all means. Dr. Reese.
Yeah, that was my comment. Since we have a nice group of 3, I can still attend and listen in. Is that correct? You have 3 already, right?
Well, my intent would be, if you are interested in doing it and the committee doesn't have a concern, I would step down so you would be a voting member and I would attend informationally but not have a say.
That works too.
Assistant City Attorney Brist, what is the appropriate way for us to resolve this item?
If you have a subcommittee and you want to create members, you can do it by motion.
Okay.
Standing rule, I think we renew this from time to time. So I believe you can just, subcommittees can be created by a committee by motion.
All right. Thank you very much. So I believe I heard a motion from Dr. Reese that the makeup of the operating practices subcommittee be her, Mr. Fletcher, and Alder Verveer. Was that correct, Dr. Reese?
That is correct.
Do I hear a second to that motion? Second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. The operating practices subcommittee, until reassigned by ALRC, is Dr. Reese, Mr. Fletcher, and Alder Verveer. And as with all city meetings, they are open to anyone else who is interested in attending, including but certainly not limited to other members of the ALRC. And item 14, review Alcohol License Review Committee Rules of Procedure. Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the subcommittee and attendees discussed the current ALRC rules of procedure as referred from a prior ALRC meeting. What you see in your packet are 2 things. One, proposed changes to the current rules of procedure, which mainly focus on in-person meetings. And so, again, the focus of those changes was to remove references to, outmoded gendered pronouns in there, as well as correcting a typo as well. And then, and I will defer to Assistant City Attorney Brist for further comments. We also discussed at that meeting consideration for our virtual format that we've had to undertake for the last year plus now, and whether or not a separate rules of procedure would be advisable for our virtual meetings should these sessions continue either in the immediate future or in the unforeseeable future, I will call it. So what you see in the second document is really changes to the language for a specific online meetings focused rules of procedure for this group that deals with kind of muting and unmuting of individuals, as well as, again, just changing the language slightly to deal with online registration forms for these meetings being slightly different, as well as the fact that folks aren't really seated in the gallery for these virtual sessions at all. So I know Assistant City Attorney Brisk worked on these changes along with Jim. So Steve, do you have any comments you'd like to add?
No, I don't need to make any comments. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher and Assistant City Attorney Brisk. Do any other members of the committee have questions for the subcommittee about their proposed changes to the rules? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt the proposed rules as the new rules for ALRC? See a motion from Mr. Fletcher.
Second.
Second from Alder Carter. Discussion? Hearing none. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. We have our new in-person and online rules of procedure. Item 15, discussion regarding operator license equity analysis, including possibly creating a subcommittee for operator license approvals between regular ALRC meetings. Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And with your indulgence, I would consider item 16 along with this item that focuses specifically on the subcommittee.
Of course.
Included as item 16 is a proposed framework for the establishment of an operator's license review subcommittee that is responsive, we believe, to the discussions had around operator license equity analysis over the past, I would say, year and a half. So as proposed in item 16, there would be a committee of 3 members appointed by the ALRC, including as well as 2 alternate members who may serve as members when there are absences. Again, the subcommittee would hold hearings aiming for times that are convenient for those individuals working in the service industry, hearings on granting or denying operators licenses, and again, working within the policy guidelines as appropriate for those licenses. After, the subcommittee would then provide recommendations to the full ALRC, whether to grant or deny the license. And as kind of standard practice for hierarchical boards, applicants whose licenses would be recommended for denial by the subcommittee would be able to appeal to the full ALRC group to present an argument as to why their license should be granted. Again, the intention here is to not only meet at times that are more convenient for folks that typically come before us for these operators licenses, but also provide a slightly what I'd call different environment for those discussions to occur in, considering the information that's discussed. So that's the goal. That's the framework. Turn it back over to you, Attorney Brisk. Do you have any comments on this? Again, thank you for your help in drafting.
No, I think you did a good job of describing it. We wanted to keep the quorum to very low and have a 3-member committee and then have alternates so that we could guarantee that we would be able to have subcommittee meetings on a regular basis, which is what, and again, this is to implement what was requested in the equity analysis.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher and Assistant City Attorney Brisk. Committee, what questions do you have about this proposal? Captain Zanders, Does MPD have any questions, comments, or concerns about forming a subcommittee to hear alcohol license operator requests?
No concerns from MPD.
All right. Well, hearing no concerns, I'll first entertain a motion that we form the subcommittee as proposed, and then we can talk about the constituency of it if it is approved. I see a motion from Mr. Fletcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alder Carter. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none. Motion carries. We have now formed our second subcommittee. I feel like a proud parent. So next up, who is interested in serving either as a primary member or as an alternate on the Operator's License Review Subcommittee? Alder Carter.
I am interested.
I saw Alder Revere and Mr. Fletcher. Are all of you interested as primary members?
I am, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Yeah.
Is anyone else interested in being a main member of the subcommittee? All right. Is there any interest in being an alternate from anyone? Dr. Reese?
Yeah, I would be happy to be an alternate.
Anyone else? All right. Do I hear a motion to approve a slate of Alder Carter, Alder Verveer, and Mr. Fletcher as members and Dr. Reese as an alternate to the Operator's License Review Subcommittee? Is there a motion from Mr. Fletcher? Is there a second? Second from Alder Carter. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none. Motion carries. Congratulations, sub-commissioners. Note for the record, there is an empty seat for an alternate. So as we get more members for ALRC, we can extend the opportunity to them to be contributors to this subcommittee as well. Mr. Fletcher, do you have anything else to report or propose as items 15 or from items 15 or 16?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that that concludes the main action items and discussion from the subcommittee meeting. So again, my thanks to particularly Attorney Brist and City Clerk, Deputy City Clerk Verbic for their drafting contributions and work, as well as the those individuals who attended and contributed to the discussion. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Great work, everybody. We wanted these things for a while, and it's really neat to actually have it happening. Any luck on the translator front?
Not yet, Chair.
Alrighty. Then on to item 17, discussion and decision on ALRC meeting virtual or in person for future meetings. The floor is open. Mr. Fletcher.
Maybe a question on whether or not there is a preference at this stage in terms of what other standing committees in the city are doing, or are we still in a some sort of hybrid choice environment?
Can anyone answer Mr. Fletcher's question? Apparently, we have no information. Alder Carter.
I would just say most of the committees that I'm on at this time are choosing to continue with Zoom meetings until things improve. Let me put it that way.
Thank you, Alder Carter. So, is anyone particularly interested in advocating for a return to in-person meetings? Mr. Fletcher.
I will still answer that question, no, but I do want to just ask Jennifer and make sure that there hasn't been some sort of undercurrent of, individuals who have been concerned about us meeting virtually. That's not come through the city clerk's office, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything specific in terms of feedback. I think the only thing is that just the office staff themselves are just starting to rethink the possible effects of having virtual only meetings. Like, does everyone have access to a computer or internet service? But I think those concerns have been around since the beginning of the virtual meetings. So, but nothing from any applicants, no grumblings that we've heard.
Thank you.
So if anyone would care to make a motion about what we, at least for now, continue doing, that would be in order. Mr. Fletcher.
I would move that the ALRC continue meeting in a virtual format until further time as the committee determines otherwise.
Would you have any concern with allowing the deputy city clerk, or in fact anyone else from the clerk's office, to add this item to our agenda again as they see fit?
No.
Excellent. I hear a motion. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Discussion. Hearing none. Dissent. Hearing none. Motion carries. Alder Miadzi.
Oh, I'm just wondering why we can't give city staff the permission that if they deem that everybody else is going back, that we should possibly go back to.
Well,
reason for that.
Part of why I added that suggestion to Mr. Fletcher's motion is the folks in the clerk's office are going to have a better idea than the rest of us on the committee of attitude within City Hall. And I trust them to draw it to our attention so that we can have a timely and informed discussion if there's reason to adjust our policy.
So we are adding it into our motion that city staff, if they deem that we should come back, that's well within their purview, or we're saying no?
We're saying that they can get it onto our agenda again, so that we can hear concerns and have a discussion as needed.
Thank you. That's what I'm making sure. Thank you for the clarification.
By all means, Alder Carter.
I was just going to clarify what your motion was, but that's fine.
All right. So again, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any dissent? Motion carries on item 17. ALRC will continue meeting virtually, and anyone from the clerk's office is welcome to add this item to our agenda in the future when it is appropriate for us to reconsider that. All right. Captain Harris, on item 18, is there anything to which you would like to call the committee's attention?
I will just add, and this will be brief, is that our summer 2021 strategic plan has come to an end. However, the work continues, in which actually tonight, well, it's over with now, but my community police team held a tavern safety meeting in conjunction with the city attorney's office as well as fire. And they're educating on over-serving, line security, how to respond to a disturbance with inside of an establishment, as well as capacity issues in underage drinking. So the first one of that session was, like I said, tonight. That was between 5 and 6 p.m. And then the next one will be on October 5th. from 4 to 5 p.m. So again, they have been extremely active in trying to make sure that the downtown area and the taverns run efficiently and effectively so that we're not called to order in this meeting. That's all I have from MPD.
Excellent, Captain. Thank you, Captain Sanders. Mr. Fletcher, then Alder Revere.
Thanks. Captain Sanders, what was, just out of curiosity, what was the attendance like at today's session? Do you have a sense of that yet?
Nobody has come in to advise what that looked like tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Alder Revere, then Dr. Reese.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear, Captain Sanders, that we were able to begin tavern safety training sessions again. They've been a long time coming, as you know, with the pandemic. Could I have a couple of questions about it? First, I wasn't aware of it until you had just informed us. Was the opportunity tonight and then the one next week, are those virtual or are those in-person trainings?
They're in person over at the municipal building, room 215.
Okay, very good. You didn't know, you wouldn't have known this, but in the past, the committee has been invited to those sessions. And if there was enough of us with an interest, we would let the clerk's office know so that they could post it as a public meeting. I, for one, am interested in attending the meeting next Tuesday. Could you send me at least the information to confirm that that meeting next Tuesday at 4 o'clock in room 215? Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah, if you or Nate could, whoever has the invitation could send it to me, I'd appreciate it.
What I have is Officer Bruss, who is our bar liaison. He will get that information over to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And then if there's anyone else that is interested in attending as well, we should kind of speak up now, so because we might have to do a public notice as a possible quorum. But anyway, my second question is a different topic, but going back to operator licenses. As you might know, Harrison, the record section has had quite a backlog of operator license backgrounds, and it's something we actually talked about at the subcommittee meeting. And so, could you give us an update from your perspective now that you're obviously playing a significant role in the background process as it relates to operator licenses, where we're at? Is the record still short-staffed and have a backlog, or no?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we are still short-staffed, and that's, I guess, across the board. And I know that they're working on improving it. However, at this time, we are still continuing to be in that kind of short-staffed mode.
Do we know, and maybe Jen can add if she knows from her perspective in the city clerk's office, but do we know how much of a wait there is? I'm concerned particularly about those that have applied for the 60-day provisional license and having that provisional then expire before we can get them their permanent, I shouldn't say permanent, their 1 year or 2 year, depending what year it is, operator licenses. Do you, Captain or Jen, do you know how significant the backlog is, and are we certainly currently experiencing people whose provisionals are still expiring and are in this unfortunately kind of dark hole before we can email them their permanent license? Again, I shouldn't use the word permanent. Anyway, their 12-month or 24-month license.
In the office, we have had, I guess, more than a normal number of calls from applicants. And I will say I've heard mostly that they're getting very close within a week or two of the provisional expiring. But I haven't heard much more than that. A lot of the people who have called didn't obtain a provisional at the time of application. And so we've been telling them about that, and they've been getting those.
Very good. I appreciate that. So anything you can do, Captain, to try to nudge your colleagues on the other end of the hallway, if you will, in records. I really appreciate it. If they could prioritize, again, I presume that they already are prioritizing the oldest applications to the more recent ones, but if they could try to prioritize these, because again, most of these folks do have these 60-day licenses, and I'm worried that some employers are so strict because they want to follow the law to the letter that some people could end up being potentially laid off, lose shifts of working and so forth because of the backlog in records. So thank you in advance for anything you can do to try to prioritize this. And if you think it would help if I talk to folks higher up in the command, I'm happy to do that too. If you want to reach out and let me know that, Captain. Thank you.
Absolutely. No problem.
All right. Thank you, Alder Verdier.
Thank you, Chairperson Donnelly.
Of course. Dr. Reese.
I see we've reached the portion in our meeting where we bring out the cats.
Apparently.
I was going to ask Captain Zanders, do you all keep a record of attendance at the tavern safety training?
Affirmative. That's going to be kept in house. And like I said, we have a bar liaison who is establishing this, and he will have that documentation.
Okay, and that's available to the public? I mean, if someone asks.
Not at this time, no. I would have to consult with Assistant Attorney Zillaby reference that.
Okay. Is there a way I could get an update on that, or I can reach out separately?
Yeah, if you don't mind reaching out separately, and we can discuss.
Will do. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Reese. Committee, what other questions do you have for Captain Zanders? All right, hearing none. Item 19, summary of licenses issued. Ms. Hara, is there anything to which you would like to call our attention?
No, and I did ask Jim prior to this meeting today, and he did not have anything that he needed the committee to be aware of, especially today.
Okay. Committee, what questions do you have for the clerk's office? All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to take up item 8 off the table. Mr. Fletcher, is there a second? Alder Miadzi? Any discussion? Any dissent? Motion carries. We are back to item 8. Do we have a translator?
No, we don't.
Assistant City Attorney Brist. So it is the responsibility of the city to provide a translator.
Yes.
If the city does not, and an applicant is thus unable to make their appearance before ALRC, what recourse do they have if this forces them to delay opening of their business? Or
the application said they were going to open August 1st, and I was going to ask whether the applicant could tell us what his current plans were, but I don't know what the alternative is, because it seems like the burden is on us to provide the translator, and we haven't done it. I mean, I don't know if this has happened before. I'm not aware that it has. And
I don't believe that it has, at least not in my time on the committee.
The only thing I was thinking procedurally is whether we could move it ahead to the council meeting and then take some action at that time if possible. But if the committee would not be able to participate in that discussion for the council meeting.
That is true. Mr. Fletcher.
The only alternative I could think of, Mr. Chair, was, and we've done this for single applications before, is to have a special meeting that would allow the item to still be considered by the city council when it should be, but just to have a one-off session. That just a thought.
That certainly seems like the most equitable thing to do. Does anyone have any other ideas that they think are good? Alder Carter.
I don't have any other ideas, but I do think that the special meeting is what we've done in the past. And I think that is the way to go for this applicant. Thank you.
By all means, would you care to make a motion then, Alder Carter?
Yes, I move that the clerk's office send out a doodle poll to establish when we can have a special meeting for this applicant and to make sure that we have an interpreter present.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Do I hear a second? Alder Verveer. Any discussion of Alder Carter's motion to refer this to a special meeting of the ALRC to be scheduled after, of course, now, because everything is after now, and in time to get this item on the next Common Council meeting agenda?
I was just gonna say that it'd be nice to have an amendment that if we can't get it a meeting scheduled, that we can definitely hear this at the council somehow. The Common Council meeting. Is that something that we could feasible if we don't have a meeting beforehand? Take that up with the council.
That's an interesting question. Mike or Steve, do either of you know, is there a way to refer an item to two bodies rather than just one?
If I could jump in here, I did second the motion. I obviously support the motion. I just wanted to point out to my colleagues that, and certainly to the applicant, if they can understand what I'm saying, that this indeed is scheduled to be on the council agenda for a public hearing next Tuesday, October 5th. I have the draft council agenda in front of me, and indeed Jen's colleague Eric has included this item on the agenda for next Tuesday. So what I was hoping to do to save time in the sake of efficiency and less work for the clerk's office is could we perhaps agree to a specific time between now and Tuesday night where we would have a quorum? Sometimes in the past, some of you will recall that we've had non-controversial meetings right before the council meeting. I know that the Common Council Executive Committee, of which there are some members here, meets at 4:30, but they always end in time for, say, a 6 o'clock special meeting of the ALRC or even a 6:15 special meeting. Perhaps with the ALRC, I don't think we would have to worry about, obviously, one item like this being handled as I guess, a so-called type 1 meeting by our wonderful media team at our information technology department. So I don't think we have to worry about that. And I would hope that our Department of Civil Rights could get an interpreter confirmed for us with that much notice. So I was just wondering, Chairperson Donnelly, if we could maybe take a minute now to look at our respective calendars and see if we could agree to the time so that we can provide the applicant some certainty and get a quorum between now and Tuesday night.
Given the timeline in particular, that seems wise. Could I see a show of hands for who would be available for a special ALRC meeting Tuesday, October 5th at 6 p.m.? So I see Alder Carter, Alder Miadzi, myself, Alder Verveer, and Mr. Fletcher. That would be quorum. So Alder Carter, do you have any concern with an adjustment here? Excellent. So the motion before us is to schedule a special meeting of the ALRC next Tuesday, October 5th at 6 p.m. and to refer this item to that meeting. Sun Cheng, do you have any concerns with meeting Tuesday, October 5th at 6 p.m.? Okay. Jennifer, following this meeting, in addition to wrangling a translator, can you communicate by email with the applicant so they can get that on their calendar and let us know sooner rather than later if there's a problem with that? All right, any further discussion on this item? Any dissent? All right, motion to refer to our special meeting next Tuesday carries. And that brings us to the final item of every agenda, adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Fletcher, is there a second? Dr. Reese, all in favor of adjournment indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed to have the same privilege.
Double aye.
Motion carries. Alder Carter, you only get one vote. This isn't Chicago. This ALRC meeting is adjourned at 7:24 p.m. I'll see all of you next, or most of you next Tuesday.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.